get on a getaway car because we're reading Taylor Swift inspired books. Hey everybody, welcome to my channel or welcome back. My name is Sophie, the Bookish Floor, and this week we are reading Taylor Swift inspired books. As you probably know, Taylor Swift does make a lot of references in her lyrics to other works of literature, from The Secret Garden to Little Women to Aristotle to all sorts of different genres and types of literature. And because of that, a lot of people have been coming up with new books inspired either by her lyrics or name songs. And there's even a book that pretty much took a whole song and turned it into a story. So that is what we are doing this week. I decided to make it a challenge, try in a matter of a week to try and read as many Taylor Swift inspired books as I could get my hands on, and I was able to actually finish 4 books. I had a couple of them also saved, but I wasn't able to either finish them, or by the time I was able to start reading them, I no longer had access to them. So at the end, I only read 4, but I think those were good enough, and I'm gonna tell you all about those. So just like Taylor Swift songs, when you think about it, or when regular people think about them, you would probably think that most of the books that I read were romances, and the majority were. However, there is a book right there that kind of snuck in there, and there definitely are a lot of trigger warnings that you need to check for that particular book. And I think the same goes for Taylor Swift lyrics. As she has gone on with her career, obviously not everything can stay the same. Her lyrics cannot stay the same as they were when she was 15, 17, 18 years old. Now then she's in her mid-30s. And yeah, again, you've seen probably that meme going around of what people think listening to when I tell them that I listen to Taylor Swift versus what I'm actually listening to, and there's like super depressing songs. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling 22. Everything will be alright if you keep me. Once walk through, 1 for the money, 2 for the show. I never. So same thing with books. When you research Taylor Swift inspired books, you see a whole range of books. A lot of them are like rom-coms or just plain old romances, and other ones are gonna be a little bit darker. And the first one that I picked was This Is Me Trying, and this is a book by Marie Raquel. I cannot 100% guarantee that this is Taylor Swift inspired book, and the only reason why I'm saying that is because there is no because I listened to this book. Sometimes when you listen to the book, there's like a trigger warning at the beginning of the book, or at the end there's some kind of author's note. Maybe in this case there was none of that. So I don't know if in the printed version you can see that, or you can see a note from the author that explains or says something to that remark. However, the way that the story is told, it does reference or it does have a lot of similarities to the Long Pond session talk that Taylor Swift is having with Jack Antonoff when they're discussing the song This Is Me Trying, how they're discussing alcoholism or addiction when it comes to that particular song, how it's represented in that song, how people going through really difficult periods of time, and how sometimes all you can do is just kind of show up for someone else. Maybe it's not in the perfect package, but just kind of showing up and being there and not messing up that particular day, and maybe the next day trying again. And that's the title of the song, This Is Me Trying, and that is the title of the book. And when it comes to the book, the story starts with a girl who she's kind of in a, I don't want to call it a goth phase, but we know, or they tell us in the story that she had like a another style that she was dressing on, kind of like a more like a regular style, more average style, I guess you can call it. And she had a group of friends, and then she had a big shift, and she's dressing a bit more goth, and within her group of friends, within the last year, one of her friends unalived themselves, and then another of her best friends moved away when that happened, uh, and he never called her, and then the other friend obviously lost his battle with depression and all of this that was going on, so she felt really alone, um, and she's kind of alone in the world. And then the friend who left town and comes back to live with his grandpa, so she's kind of reunited with him, and the family obviously loves him because they've been family friends forever, but she has a lot of internal feelings obviously about that. There's obviously a lot of talk about substance abuse and about depression and about different types of things. These are all teenagers, so this is a YA, but this is dealing with a lot of heavy topics. They're also I liked it because they talk about minorities, the Latino community. They also talk about being members of the LGBTQ community, and how that plays out, especially in the family dynamic, how they are so close, how the family units, they are so close, how the friend who moves away and comes back feels like part of the family, but the girl is having a hard time dealing with that because the mom treats him like he's a part of the family, like a cousin or something like that, but the girl feels like her friend betrayed her, so it's very difficult for her to have him back in her life. So it's dealing with that, and then dealing with feelings that possibly there's more there. So there's also a bit of romance, but obviously the romance, it's in the back burner of the story because it's dealing with a lot of things that are going on within themselves. It's a coming of age story. It's again a lot of heavy topics about depression and addiction and different things, socioeconomic, class, racism, different things. So this is, again, check trigger warnings because there's a lot of things that can trigger you in this particular book. So yeah, check it out. But if you can, go ahead and read it. I thought it was really well done. I've read a lot of other heavy books that discuss these topics, but it almost feels like, again, those shows like 13 Reasons Why or Euphoria, that I feel like they glamorize it, and then they try to be so real that it feels so incredibly disconnected. Like they're not grounded in reality. They are like a hyper reality that I feel like no one is really like that in real life. This one feels real, like these people, these kids. So yeah, I think that's a really good book, but again, check trigger warnings. So that one was This Is Me Trying. I gave it 4 stars. Okay, I'm gonna switch gears really really drastically here. The next one that I read is Never Ever Getting Back Together. This one is by Sophie Gonzalez, and this is a rom-com, I guess, and this story obviously is based on that song Never Ever Getting Back Together, and this is a weird one. This is about a girl who dated a prince. From the start, it's like, okay, let's just suspend all this belief and just go with it. So this is about a girl who dated like a prince when she was in her teen years, and I think in New York, somewhere like that. And then they broke up, whatever. He kind of ghosted her and gas lighted her and all that. The kind. And then turns out he's doing a reality show where he's dating all of his ex. and he calls her up and it's like, hey, you want to come over, or you want to come and be a part of the reality show? And she's like, no way, I hate this guy. But then she thinks, okay, maybe I can like expose him for what he really is. And her plan is to like do revenge, right, on the reality show. And he's being all nice to her, and she's like, well, maybe he's changed, like that was a long time ago, maybe he's different, and he's being all sweet and all. So she arrives at the reality show. He keeps in contact a little bit, not a lot because they're not supposed to have contact, but he keeps being really nice, saying that she's really the only one that truly knows him, that this is just like something that they have to do, like to be on good graces with the public or whatever, and this is just a show, let's just show like the best parts of them and that's it, right? So she's kind of having doubts, but then she starts talking to other girls, and they all like realize that he's a jerk, that he's playing them all, all the details. And then in there, there's another girl who thinks that she cheated, or that the guy cheated on her with this other girl. So yeah, it's like love triangles. He kind of manipulates all of them. They are all enemies, and he is the nicest guy. And at the end, it turns out that he is the enemy. They have all been played. They become friends. There's like a romance there, but not with the prince, but with someone else. Honestly, I was doing like a house project. I was working actually on my shelves. I bought new shelves, and I needed to make them wide and rearrange all my shelves. So while I was doing this, I was listening to the book. I don't watch The Bachelor. I'm not really into that. The whole reality show thing, it's like competition for guys. I find that a little bit weird. So it wasn't really my cup of tea. I found the whole scenario annoying, where you're going on a reality show to see a guy you dated for 5 seconds when you were a teenager. Like, I don't understand. But again, I just decided to go with it. And this is the kind of contemporary romance that I personally don't enjoy, don't like. I gave it 3 stars because at least it was entertaining, I guess. I didn't completely wanna... It wasn't completely annoying because it was so ridiculous. Again, because the whole premise is so ridiculous, you kind of just let go. Whenever you put something like a reality show and a prince in there, it's a Disney movie. It's like, come on, it's not reality. So just suspend your disbelief and have fun with it. So you can kind of let go. It's not trying to be something that it's not. So I gave it 3 stars. I would have probably given it 2.5. In reality, it's more like a 2.5 for me. But I give it a 3. If you really like all that, if you're super fan of The Bachelor, if you are super fan of the cheery pop songs, if you are a super fan of like prince and royalty for the sake of princess and royalty and all that glittery and glam and all that, that's fine. I'm more into like royalty when it's like, how the heck are real like humans expected to be in those positions sort of way, and less in a glamorous kind of way. I'm kind of more in the reality. That's what I like to see more than the glamour side. So yeah, if you like that, I think you're gonna love it. Rom-coms in books is not really my thing, so this book wasn't necessary for me, but I just wanted to check it out. Yeah, I thought it was okay. So that's Never Ever Getting Back Together by Sophie Gonzalez, and I give it 3 stars. Okay, my next read was Begin Again by Emma Lord. Super important for you guys to, when you're looking for Begin Again, to check that it's Emma Lord. There are a few books called Begin Again. This one is a pink book, and it has 2 kids in the cover going to college with their backpacks. And this is precisely that. This is a girl who dreams of being like a radio host in like the underground radio station at her college. Her mother was the first one who did that when she was younger at her college. It's sort of like an underground, again, radio station. They sort of are allowed to be there because they, I guess, they do good things for the community. And they also kind of never cross lines. And they're kind of cool and all that. And she wants to be in there, and she has a really cool TA in her dorm. A TA? I don't remember what it's called. Not a TA, that's a teacher assistant. The ones that are like in charge of the dorms. Anyways, so that's her friend that she's making there. She has a boyfriend who transferred to another college, and they're supposed to be going to school together. They have their whole life plan. Her mother passed away when she was younger, so she's trying to live up to her legacy, and also while also trying to make that relationship work long distance while her boyfriend kind of transfers back. This whole thing is kind of a mess. And also she is going through this whole system where she has to get during the school year, there are events where she collects like ribbons from sororities, I guess, and she can kind of pledge to a house at the end of the year. So there are different elements going around, but the main idea is that she wants to follow in her mother's legacy of being in that radio station, while also making sure that the relationship with her boyfriend kind of sticks. But the whole time they're kind of like doing the long distance, which is not working. She's kind of developing this friendship with this guy again, who is from her dorm, and he's in charge of the floor of the dorm. I don't remember the name of that, but anyways, so it's kind of a coming of age story. She also is developing her friendships there. She's developing her sense of self. Her relationship with her father also is very important. How he views her, how she thinks he sees her, and all that. I liked it. I felt like there were a lot of elements I could have done without the whole ribbon thing. I feel like whenever that thing came up, it was a bit distracting because it really didn't add like a lot to the story, and there were already so many elements. We also have to deal with the family of the boyfriend who is still kind of around, and the whole thing with the boyfriend, whether he's transferring back or not, or what's going on there. So the whole thing of the boyfriend being with her and then transferring to another school and then transferring back, like, and that happened like off page, like before the story even started. So I feel like there were a lot of elements that maybe didn't need to be there. Then it needed a bit of editing, and the story maybe focusing just on long distance relationship, her trying to follow the mother's legacy, and maybe the new friendships and relationships forming at the school. But at the end, again, it's a coming of age. It's trying to figure out what she wanted very quickly, obviously, because she's in college and we're different ages, different levels. If you're like reading YA and you're the same age, you might be asking yourself the same questions. In my case, I'm long past that age, so I'm like, girl, like, I already know where you're going with this, but that's fine. That's because, again, been through that. So that's probably why. So I kind of figured out quickly like what was going on, like what the ending was gonna be. And I think anyone, even if you are even in that age, you can figure out the ending quite quickly. There's a twist that we didn't see. I was talking to someone else from Instagram, another bookstagrammer, because I was like scrolling, mindlessly scrolling while I was listening and again fixing my shelves, and I saw that she had the picture that she was reading the book, and I was like, girl, I'm listening to that book at the same time. So we were kind of comparing notes, and there was a twist, and I'm like, the minute I heard that twist, I'm like, have you read this part? Because I'm in this section. Luckily she had already finished the book, and I'm like, I can't believe this happened. So there is a twist, like, so that was exciting. Whenever you, even if it's a book that you're not like 100% into, whenever they can surprise you, I love that. So there was something that I didn't expect, that I really liked. So it kind of made me, okay, let's go, let's keep listening because it's getting good. And yeah, I like that part. It kind of cemented the idea that I already had of where I wanted it to end. So when it ended that way, I was like, okay, yeah, good. Did we need that push? And not necessarily. I think it was going that way anyways, but it gave that character the push that it needed, that she needed, I think. I would have done it without that push, but maybe she needed that push. So I think for that it was good. I still gave it 3 stars. I think this one is a 3 stars, kind of closer to 4 in comparison to Never Ever Getting Back Together. Never Ever Getting Back Together is a 3 star closer to a 2. This one is a 3 star closer to a 4. So take that what you, or do with that what you will. But definitely I think that when it comes to rom-coms, I would recommend that one a bit more. So that was Begin Again by Emma Lord. Okay, and then the last one that I read from the Taylor Swift inspired book was This the Damn Season. Now, okay, I had other books that I had put aside, but my Everand, sometimes when certain, I don't know how it works, but sometimes I have books saved that I'm gonna read, and then past certain date, certain books stay on my save, and others move on to the, they will be available later, and until my subscription is renewed, they're available until the 10th of the next month. So I don't know how it works. I already talked to them. They said that they have, I guess they have sort of like a limited amount of copies, kind of like a library. So even though I saved it, if I'm already reading like X amount of books, some of them automatically go through, I kind of go through the back of the line again. I don't know how it works. It's kind of crazy, but I already had it, and then they moved it up to October 10th. So yeah, I don't even have access to them right now. So I decided to look for another one that I had access to like ASAP, because you can do that. And I found This the Damn Season. This is a Christmas book, but I decided it's the only one that I have available. Let's just do this thing. And I'm so glad I did, because otherwise I wouldn't have picked it up. So the first thing you need to know is that when you see the cover is so cheesy. I would have never picked it up. I don't know who designed the cover. It is definitely a book rom-com cover, but I hate those. It's like the design is like blue, like a, I don't even know what to call it, like a bit of a darker baby blue. Like, let me see if I have like this color blue. And then it's a girl like all sexy on one side and a guy on the other side. And then in the middle says This Damn Season with like the Christmassy lettering. And it's like, who wants to watch that? This is not like the early 2000s. So anyways, obviously this is not a movie, but it seems like a poster from an early 2000s movie. So I started listening to it. And literally is the story of the song. If you haven't heard this song, I don't remember if it's on Folklore or on Evermore, but it's a song that a girl is singing where she is a singer in LA, and she kind of takes a break from her show business life, and she goes back home, and she spends time with like her hometown boyfriend, friend, the one who the one that got away, like the guy that you always go back to. So the story is basically that we have the main girl who, after a scandal, she is accused in the tabloids of betraying her best friend, and the boyfriend cheating on the best friend with her. So obviously that's not true. Obviously that's not true. I don't know if it's obvious to us, but not to the public, I guess. It's obvious to us because she's telling us the story. But she decides to go home anyways, to spend time at home. And she always goes back, and her friend from childhood, her high school boyfriend, always picks her up. She always ends up spending time with him, over the Christmas holiday, they decide to put together like a church. I don't know if it's a church nativity scene or a school nativity scene, but they end up working on that together. She's gonna spend the whole holiday season there, the whole month. They start working with kids, like teenagers, build up their confidence, make the bully like take a step back and maybe help her out with the mom who's a little annoying. And they obviously work on their relationship. What are they not? Can they have a clear communication? Their relationship with the parents. The boyfriend doesn't have a mother or a father anymore, so he's really close with her parents, and how that goes. And it is a really sweet story. It's about her kind of deciding what she really wants to do in life, really putting both of them, figuring out who they want to be to each other, what they want to be in life, what they actually want to do. I feel like the miscommunication tropes that this type of books always have, they're always simple conversations that they could have, and they're really frustrating for me because you can just talk about them. But in this case, they're really obvious, because obviously when he becomes, and there's a part of the book, I know I always talk about a lot of details and I might spoil, but there's a part of the book when he gets a little taste of what it would be like to live life like she does in the public eye, and his world kind of blows up for a minute, and because of the scandal she just ran from, he kind of gets an idea, and that she's trying to protect him from that. She doesn't want him to have to deal with all that. And obviously, if you know Taylor and you know what Taylor talks about in some of her songs, is kind of like that. In a song like Peace, you get that message. So I think this story was, for what it was, I think it was very well written. I think it hits the points of the song very well. I think it was extremely very close to the song. Obviously, it has a couple of things that they need to add, or a few things that they need to add, like the nativity thing and all that, and to make it a full story. But they did a really good job doing all that. I really ended up liking it. I think it's a great story to add for your holiday. If you have a Swiftie in your family, great book to give them for the holiday season. If you're thinking about what gifts you want to give them, I think it's a great book. I think it's really sweet. I think it's a good rom-com. It's not too spicy. It's not too cheesy. I think it's well balanced. So for someone who doesn't like contemporary romance, I think this one is a pretty good one. I gave it 4 stars. I think I'm really picky with my contemporary romance, so it wasn't quite a 5-star for me. There's a part at the end that I didn't quite like. I think there's a part where they try to make it a little bit of a Me Too moment that didn't need to be there. That is an important subject and topic, and thing that can be discussed, an important subject matter. I don't think this book was the place for it. I don't think this subject matter was the place for it. I don't think the development of the story needed it, and I don't think that when it was put in, the way it was done, it was oh, okay, that happened, so, and then next chapter. So I think that I didn't quite like that, and I didn't give it a 5 stars because of that. But I also think that it didn't need it. I think it was extra. I think that I know why they did it. I know why they did it. However, I feel like the way it was wrapped up, it didn't do justice to the topic. So I wish they didn't put it in because they didn't need it. I think that's what I'm gonna say. I don't think they needed it. So if you wanna read it, that's fine. It's not heavy or anything, and I think that's precisely the point. It feels very surface level when I think it's an important topic. So yeah, no trigger warnings in that. Maybe trigger warnings if but again, it feels so surface level that I don't even think you necessarily need trigger warnings for that particular topic, but I guess you would have to check that out and listen or read it for yourself. But it felt really out of place, I guess. Other than that, I think it's a really good book, and I would recommend it. And that would be This Damn Season from Kimmy Freeman. We will not judge you for that name, Kimmy Freeman. Sorry about that. And yeah, and those were the 4 books that I read inspired by lyrics or song titles from Taylor Swift. Have you read any books that are inspired by Taylor Swift lyrics or songs? Let me know in the description. Let me know if you have any recommendations for me or for all of us who are watching this. Remember that on the description you have all my social media, everywhere that you can follow me, say hi, make comments, let me know what else I can read. Also, all the ways that you can support me and this channel, I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your support. Remember that you can always like this video. If you want to see more videos like this, you can always subscribe. I would really appreciate that. And you can hit that bell so you can get notified every time I upload a video. I try to upload every Wednesdays in Spanish and every Fridays in English. Remember to keep reading and keep blooming, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!